Hello everyone, welcome to the Monday edition of the UFO Planet Sightings and News Report. I'm your host Darren Crapo. On today's program we have some fascinating UFO sightings, including one from the United States Department of Homeland Security. It'll probably blow your socks off, so make sure they're on tight. And while you're doing that, we'll have a look at this. Welcome back everyone. I hope you all had a fantastic weekend. I know I did, going through all of the UFO sightings that were submitted to MUFON and to 4U2C TV, and there were some doozies of course. But we're going to start the program off today by heading and taking a look at the news headlines. These are news headlines from around the world on mainstream and not quite so mainstream websites that have to do with UFOs. First of all, we're going to take a look at something that was posted on the Belgian UFO Network Facebook page this week. I follow you guys and find some interesting stuff on there. Now this is a video that was recorded back in 2013 over Atlanta, Georgia. I've actually featured this on a past program, but that past program has actually been removed from the internet. I removed it myself. And yet it was one of my favorite sightings because this is probably one of the best sightings of orbs that we're probably ever going to see. Quite possibly anyway. It's a perfect video. Now take a look at this. You can tell it's not a reflection from inside the aircraft from some lights that might be on, because they're moving around. They're actually keeping speed with the aircraft and changing positions. Now, are those other aircraft out there, helicopters, something like that? I don't think so. Not going that fast. Now take a look at them darting off. Isn't that amazing? And that was posted on the Belgian UFO Network on Facebook. You might want to check out their feed. You might want to be a member of that group. You never know. It was amazing that they had that on though. Now we're going to go to gaff.news. And they have a story running this week about amazing UFO photographs that were taken from a US Navy submarine back in 1971. And we get a little bit of a look at the submarine, but now we're going to look at some of the supposed UFO photos that were supposedly captured by cameras on board this submarine. Some amazing looking objects there. That's a triangular shaped one. That's kind of amazing. And that one looks like it's almost coming out of water. Some amazing looking objects there, isn't it? Now, are they UFOs or are they experimental craft during the Cold War? That was taken aboard the USS Trepang, and it was during the Cold War era. This one here, as a matter of fact, looks a lot like that experimental craft that they had there in Germany. But nonetheless, it's really interesting to look at that type of material and see what's out there, isn't there? And to see that it comes from an American source. Now from Lavaz, or from cron.com, a man claims a UFO tried to kidnap him on a Mexican highway. I read this with great interest. I thought it was interesting because it uses the word kidnap. It doesn't use the word abduct. It says kidnap because to me, kidnap means that you're going to want a ransom. A 68-year-old man was found on the side of the road and told authorities that a UFO tried to abduct him. So there's the word abduct. According to a report, the incident occurred earlier this month. The man said he was reportedly riding his bike on a state highway when a UFO ran him over and attempted to kidnap him. So now we've gone from abduct to kidnap. Maybe it means a little bit different and was lost in the translation. Apparently he was found, though. He had blood on his shirt. You can see his mangled bicycle in there behind him. But that was the story that he told authorities, that a UFO caused this. What do you think of that? Down in Mexico, I guess you never know what you're going to hear. Now, you would think that if they have technology to do interstellar travel, that they could probably pick a guy up off of his bike without too much trouble. Also included with this story was a video that probably, includes some UFO shots here, which are interesting to look at. But what I really wanted to look at was the volcano videos again. And we've all seen these many times. But I did a little bit more reading about it. And since I last featured this on the program there a couple of years ago, and you see this, what people are saying is an aircraft or some sort of an object that goes down into the volcano. Now, several people are saying that's an aircraft that turns to the right and goes away from the volcano. So watch it really close here and see if you think that's what it is. Now, I want to just mention as well that this is captured with a time-lapse camera. So it's not live 30 frames per second video. You might get a frame every 3 or 4 seconds. So, but there's also that other bright object that's up in the sky there, not really knowing what that is. Down in Mexico, though. And this is a very popular video. It's played on the internet a lot. And it's interesting to look at it. And I found this on gaf.news, which is a rather interesting site. There's a lot of websites out there that I've come to discover that are carrying UFO content regularly. And some of them are mainstream, some not quite so mainstream, but nonetheless, it's interesting to look at and see it there. And there's some great experiences to be learned from those sites. I have a lot of UFO sightings coming up real soon. Stay tuned.
UFO Planet.
Oh, I guess I better turn the mic back on. It's time to head off to our UFO sightings. Each week we start off with sightings that are submitted without media because they're also very important to us. And there's some interesting ones on this segment here today. One in particular that caught my attention. This first one, we start off in Frisco, Texas in the United States. This was for a UFO sighting that was reported to have happened on August 14th, so just a day or two ago here. And down in Frisco, Texas, there was a flat object. It was bright, and but they went on to great lengths to describe that it was quite flat. And it stayed in the area for about 13 minutes. Maybe they were trying to watch the football game from up in the air there. And then it flew away at a rapid speed, and as it flew away, it left virtually no comm trails or nothing behind. And that happened in Frisco, Texas, where the Eagles play football. And I thought that was an interesting sighting. Very interesting, actually. Cornwall, Ontario, Canada's next. This is an interesting one, but we got a doozy coming up here. This one was reported to have occurred on August 13th. Try and have the most recent sightings that I possibly can, but there was a large orange orb that was spiraling. They said it was kind of falling, and then all of a sudden the orb flew up and away, and then out of nowhere a triangle UFO appeared. That would have been interesting. And it reportedly it paused over the home for a while, and then it flew away and had absolutely no sound. If I ever see a triangle UFO over my home, I'm going to run inside and get my camera. Actually, there's always one in my pocket. Here's my favorite one. Wilkinson, Indiana, in the United States. This is amazing. You probably never heard anything like this one before. This was on August 13th. Never made it into the mainstream news, never heard it anywhere except for this report, but there was reportedly a battle of UFOs over Wilkinson. And it started out with 2 UFOs being involved, and then they were later joined by a 3rd UFO. Now, unfortunately, one of those UFOs was destroyed in the battle. You would think, though, that if this really happened, that there would be some wreckage that someone have a picture of, or there would be a news story somewhere. But it occurred during the meteor showers that recently happened around the world. You had a pretty good view of those here from Canada, by the way. It was amazing. But isn't that amazing from Wilkinson, Indiana? An all-out UFO battle. But you never know. Fenelon Falls, Ontario, Canada is where we're heading off to next. And this is for a sighting that was reported to have happened on August 8th of this year in Fenelon Falls. And what happened there was a long cigar UFO was spotted by someone who happened to be on Hickory Road there. Apparently it hovered above the trees for a while and had a rounded front, and there was also no wings. There was no tail, which makes sense if it's a cigar-shaped UFO. And they described it as saying that it was silver in color and looked nothing like an aircraft. I would guess that it wouldn't be, but if it had the cigar shape to it. But that's interesting. Very unfortunate that nobody caught some photos or a video of that. But next, if you have a UFO sighting, be sure to email me, Darren@4u2ctv.com. That can be a sighting with or without media. It really doesn't matter. I really want to hear from everyone and see what you have to say. There's a lot of information to share out there. We'll be right back with UFO sightings that have media. Stay tuned.
UFO Planet.
Welcome back to the program. So now we're going to start our sightings that have media. What I do is I pick the 5 best sightings that are submitted out of all of the sightings each week, and that's sightings that are submitted either to MUFON or to 4U2CTV. First, we're going to head to Cicero, Illinois. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. In any case, we're going to take a look at a sighting that happened recently there, and it's actually kind of interesting. I'm kind of glad this one was submitted. Now, this is the UFO reported to be in the vicinity of an airport. And the person who submitted it said it seemed out of place compared to the other aircraft in the area. But I'm wondering if it isn't an aircraft that took off from the airport, gained some altitude, and now it's flying away and it has the bright glow of the sun to it. Now, he also had the presence of mind to capture an actual aircraft, and this kind of looks like a weird angle that he caught this one at. But he has a jet that appears to be coming in for a landing here. It takes him a minute to get it into screen, but look at that. It almost looks like it's in a nosedive, but that might be just the angle of the camera. But it certainly looks like it's steep descent, doesn't it? And then he just kind of films this aircraft flying towards the airport here, but that's a good shot. Now, when you compare how close this aircraft looks to how the other object looked, that's why I say it was an aircraft that took off from the airport, probably gained some altitude, did a wide turn, and then headed the opposite direction, and in doing so was quite a bit higher already. I see it here at our local airport. You'll see the airplanes take off and then turn right around and fly back over the airport so they can go the proper direction. But that's actually a pretty good capture of whatever it was up in the sky there. I really look forward to reading in the comments section what everyone thought we were looking at in this particular shot here, the initial part of that. Next, we're going to go to Camillus, New York for a sighting that was on August 13th, and there's audio with this one, so that means I have to be quiet now.
It's moving sideways. We're gonna get abducted by fucking aliens. No, we are too. You're right, guy. It's moving sideways. We're gonna get abducted by fucking aliens. No, we are.
So we have a bright object up there in the sky. It's really interesting. Now, if you guys, I just want to mention, if you want to see more details, you can actually go to MUFON and call up the particular sightings that by the MUFON number and take a look at some of the more details that they give. This one was submitted by Ana Pestana, and this was recorded in Portugal by one of her friends on August 14th. It was submitted. Now, I'm not particularly sure when this sighting took place, but you can take a look. We have a couple of objects up there in the sky, and now this is a still photograph, obviously. Now, I believe Anna described that there was more than one photograph, but this was the photo that the objects appeared in. Now, take a look at that. If these are bugs, does anyone know any bugs that look like that? Either one on the left or the right, but they're interesting to look at. And I just want to say thanks to Anna Pestana's friend for allowing Anna to send this photograph to me, and it's really interesting to take a look at. Zooms in there just a little bit. So are we looking at our typical bug capture here, guys and gals, or are we looking at something entirely different? Amazing. Almost looks like tail on that top one there. Next, we're going to go to Indianapolis, Indiana in the United States of America. This is for a sighting that took place on the 14th. This is where the Indianapolis 500 comes to us from, obviously. And this is, what happened here was a person pointed their camera out their bedroom window and said they caught tons of UFOs. Now, I want you to take a look at these things. Now, we've seen videos similar to this before. Are these little miniature orbs, or are these also insects that are flying in front of the camera? One gets rather close here right away, and which kind of gives the impression to me that it may be insects. But at the same time, if there is such a thing as miniature orbs, that could be it. So you just saw that one flash in front of the camera there. But so what do you think this person captured outside their bedroom window? Scottsburg, Indiana. So we're going to stay in Indiana here again. This particular sighting comes to us recorded, having been recorded on August 14th.
Go. Very kind of scenery. Where'd it go?
Our 5 in a row of the best sightings that were submitted this week, and give you something to talk about in the comment section and in front of the water cooler. I really do prefer daylight sightings, but I don't think that we have, most UFO sightings are at night. That's just the way it is. I think that's when a lot of the activity goes on, and when a lot of people are paying attention. Pretty amazing to look at. But if you think that is amazing, you're going to want to see what's coming next, and that's our hot clip of the day. I promise you, you've never seen anything like it. We'll be right back.
UFO Planet.
It's time to move on now to our hot video clip of the day. And I'm just going to explain a little bit about the clip before we watch it here. And supposedly this was captured by a Department of Homeland Security aircraft down in the United States. We're just going to get it started here because it's kind of amazing to watch. I really enjoyed this one. I watched it a few times and actually showed it to a few of my friends that happened to stop by, and everyone thought the same thing. So this is a Homeland Security video. It takes a second or two for this object to appear. Reportedly, it comes out of the water. Now, this must be the coastline. This is taken with a I forget what the name of that, a forward-looking infrared radar camera, I believe, a FLIR. And so that's why you get, now you see it just appearing there in the, they're going to put it in the crosshairs. You see this UFO flying here. Now take a look at this thing. What do you think that is? Take a look how fast it's moving too. Now they kind of estimate that it was going about 120 miles an hour. I suppose if you had some idea of the terrain there and the measurements of the terrain, you could actually calculate the speed based on the time. Nick Pope said that this footage was absolutely fascinating, and we all know who Nick Pope is from over there in England, and he definitely knows his UFOs. And they estimate, they must have seen it traveling underwater too before it came out, because they actually estimated the speed there as well. But take a look at this, and it goes on for a while, which I find quite amazing. You can see the buildings there beneath it, and you can kind of compare size. So to me, it doesn't, you know, you just have to love Apple sometimes. Apparently to view that web content I need Java installed, but we're viewing it. Now, take a look at this, and it gets a little bit bigger. I think they kind of zoom in here a little bit, but you get an idea of the size of it. But there again, it's kind of hard to tell because you don't know how far off the ground it is, and that could really change it. But there's a close-up. Now, look at that shape. If it was a piece of garbage, I don't think a piece of garbage is going to blow in the wind that controlled looking. And that's USA Homeland Security video. Never seen anything like that. I imagine that there's going to be a lot of you are going to take and rewind that one and watch through it a few times. I know I did when I first saw it. I thought it was absolutely fascinating, and I hope you did too. I just want to say thanks to everyone for tuning into the program this absolutely fine Monday. Remember, if you have a video, send it to me, Darren at 4u2ctv.com. Every Monday and Thursday I'll have a program, and you'll see the most recent sightings, plus some hot video clips that we find out there. Thanks again for tuning in. I'm Darren Crapo. We'll see you again on Thursday.